Okay, let's talk about change. Real change. What if I told you the secret to incredible results wasn't some massive, heroic effort, but tiny, almost invisible changes? Well, that's the big idea we're unpacking today from James Clear's powerhouse book, Atomic Habits. Welcome to The Explainer.
You know, we've all heard that phrase, go big or go home. But Atomic Habits just completely flips that on its head. The promise is right there in the subtitle. It's about those tiny changes. The book argues that real, lasting transformation doesn't come from one giant leap. Nope. It comes from the compounding power of hundreds of small, daily decisions.
Okay, so think about this for a second. Getting just 1% better each day, it sounds like nothing, right? Totally insignificant. But the math behind it is just staggering. If you do that for 1 year, that tiny effort compounds to make you over 37 times better. 37! This is the magic right here. It's what James Clear calls the compound interest of self-improvement. All those small wins just stack up into something incredible.
All right, so how do we actually make this work for us? Here's what we're going to cover. We'll dive into the real power of that 1% rule. Then we'll get into why changing your identity is the absolute first step. After that, we'll break down a super simple 4-law framework you can start using today. And finally, we'll see why focusing on your system, not your goals, is the ultimate game changer. Let's get into it.
Okay, first up, let's really dig into this whole 1% idea. It is so easy to dismiss a tiny change, right? Like meditating for just 1 minute or reading 1 page. You do it and nothing happens. You don't see an immediate payoff. But that's exactly where we go wrong. Because every single habit, whether it's good or bad, is kind of like a double-edged sword.
And this right here shows you everything. Your habits compound, for better or for worse, just like money in the bank. That 1% improvement, yeah, it's pretty much invisible today. But fast forward a year, and the change is massive. But here's the scary part. It works the other way, too. A 1% decline, like eating one unhealthy meal or skipping the gym, also seems harmless. But over time, it compounds into a really big problem. The point is, your daily choices are literally defining who you're going to be.
Okay, so if we know small habits are so powerful, why is it still so ridiculously hard to stick with them? I mean, we've all been there. Well, James Clear argues it's because we're starting in the wrong place. We're all focused on the outcome. You know, I want to lose 20 pounds, or I want to write a book. We should be focusing on the person we want to become.
Just take a look at this question. Think about it for a second. The difference in wording here, it seems so subtle, doesn't it? But psychologically, they are worlds apart. Statement A reinforces the old identity. You're still a smoker, you're just trying to stop. But statement B, that declares a powerful brand new identity.
And this illustrates the two approaches perfectly. On the left, you've got outcome-based habits. You're working from the outside in, focused on what you want to achieve. But on the right, you have identity-based habits. You're working from the inside out, starting with who you want to be. And folks, this is the key inside of the entire book. True, lasting behavior change is identity change. You stop trying to be a healthy person, you simply are one, and then your actions just follow.
So how do you actually build this new identity? Well, you do it one vote at a time. Every action you take is basically a vote for the type of person you want to become. Think about it. When you choose to take the stairs, you're casting a vote for, I'm an active person. When you read just 1 page of a book, you're casting a vote for, I'm a reader. These little votes are the building blocks of your new self.
Okay, so if identity is the what we're aiming for, the next question is how? How do we build the habits that actually support that identity? This is where Clear gives us a brilliant, super practical framework he calls the 4 laws of behavior change. This is basically the operating manual for your habits, the instruction manual for rewiring your brain. And this table here, this lays out the entire system. It's so elegant. Just think of them as 4 levers you can pull. If you want to build a good habit, let's say going to the gym, you want to make it obvious, so maybe you lay out your gym clothes the night before. You make it attractive by putting together an awesome workout playlist. You make it easy by picking a gym that's on your way home from work. And finally, you make it satisfying, maybe by tracking your progress in an app. And if you want to break a bad habit, you just flip it. You make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and totally unsatisfying.
All right, let's zoom in on one of these because it's probably the most powerful one for getting started, the 3rd law, make it easy. And the best tool for this is something called the 2-minute rule. It is specifically designed to overcome the single biggest hurdle we all face with a new habit, which is just getting started. The idea is so simple,
It's genius. You just downscale whatever new habit you want to start until it takes less than 2 minutes to do. So, you're not trying to master the full habit right away. Not at all. You are simply mastering the art of showing up. The goal is to make starting so ridiculously easy that you just can't say no.
So what does this look like in practice? Well, read before bed every night becomes read 1 page. Do 30 minutes of yoga becomes take out my yoga mat. Study for class becomes open my notes. See? You just master the first 2 minutes. You make the on-ramp to the habit as frictionless as possible. And what's funny is a lot of the time, once you've actually started, just continuing is the easy part.
Okay, so all of these ideas we've talked about, the 1% rule, the identity shift, the 4 laws, they all feed into what is maybe the most profound takeaway from the entire book. And it's this: forget about your goals. Seriously, focus on your systems instead. Real, lasting results aren't about those big moments of triumph. They're about the system of habits you follow day in and day out.
Just let this quote sink in for a second. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. I mean, wow. Think about it. In sports, every team has the same goal: to win the championship. The goal itself doesn't separate the winners from the losers. What does? Their system. The collection of daily drills, practices, and habits they commit to. That system is what catches you and keeps you going, especially on those days when you have zero motivation.
All right, so let's wrap this all up. What are the key takeaways? First, habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Small is huge over time. Second, focus on who you wish to become, not just what you want to achieve. Identity first. Third, use those 4 laws to build good habits and break the bad ones. It's your user manual. Fourth, start with a 2-minute version of any new habit. Just show up. And finally, your commitment to the process, to your system, is what actually determines your progress.
And that leaves us with one final thought, one final question for you. What tiny vote will you cast for your future self today? It doesn't have to be some huge radical change. It just has to be a start, because that's how meaningful change really happens. One tiny atomic habit at a time.